This hadith confirms that Islam's prophet wasn't out being religious.
Muslim: I said, should I tell you a hadith from your traditions? He gave an account of the conquest of Mecca, saying, Muhammad, may peace be upon him, advanced until he reached Mecca. He assigned Zubair to his right flank, and
Killer
Khalid to his left. Then he dispatched Ubaidah with the force that had no armor. They advanced to the interior. The Prophet, may peace be upon him, was in the midst of a large contingent of his fighters. Allah's messenger, may peace be upon him, said, You see the ruffians and the lowly followers of the Quraysh? He indicated by striking one of his hands over the other that they should be killed. So we went off on his orders, and if anyone wanted a person killed, he was slain. No one could offer any resistance. Then
the recently converted
Abu Sufyan said, Messenger, the blood of the Quraysh has become very cheap. The Prophet said, Kill all who stand in your way.
If this is the criterion for being God's messenger, Attila the Hun, Genghis Khan, Lenin, and Adolf Hitler were prophets too. At this point, the historian's account conflicts somewhat with Muslims' collection, so we can draw the conclusion that much of this is untrue, as contradiction is proof of deceit. We can view Tabari as an apologist, someone interested in buffing up his prophet's bloody reputation. Or perhaps Mohammed may have had some second thoughts. He may have been more interested in humiliating his prey than devouring them. But either way, we're told Meccans, abandoned orphan, dispatched his troops crying,
Tabari: Fight only those who fight you. When Khalid came upon them in the lower part of Mecca, he fought them, and Allah put them to flight. Zubair encountered a squadron of Quraysh on the slopes of Kaaba and killed them.
Alas, the debate became moot.
Khalid fought them,
and
Zubair killed them.
So,
when the Prophet arrived, the people stood before him to swear allegiance to him. So the Meccans became Muslims.
One who submits. And that's all you really need to know about Muhammad in Islam. He had conquered his demon. He had avenged his childhood. The praise, power, and possessions he had been denied were now his. Islam had worked like a charm. It had always been about subduing the Meccans, making them pay for abandoning him, making them wish they hadn't kept the family business for themselves. All they needed to do was surrender, to grovel at his feet. Surah 48:28 reads,
You will see them bow and prostrate themselves, seeking Allah's acceptance. On their faces are their marks, the traces of their prostration.
As you no doubt noticed, throughout this disgusting affair, Allah has been nothing more than an implement. The Meccans swore their allegiance to Mohammed. That is what made them Muslims, one who submits. Allah was used to disavow the treaty, to justify killing, to steal the Kaaba, and to empower Mohammed. In conflict with the evidence, Muslim apologists say that the conflict of Mecca was a peaceful affair. Yet many men and women were butchered on this horrific day.
Ishaq: The Muslims met them with their swords. They cut through many arms and skulls. Only confused cries and groans could be heard over our battle roars and snarling.
With his kin confused and in agony,
Tabari and Ishaq: Muhammad ordered that certain men should be assassinated, even if they were found behind the curtains of the Kaaba. Among them was Abdallah bin Khatal,
the Koran's first scribe.
The reason that Allah's messenger ordered that he should be slain was because he had become a Muslim and used to write down the Koran revelation. Then he apostatized, reverted to being a polytheist, and returned to Mecca.
The only man who ever attempted to commit Quran surahs to parchment as they left the Prophet's lips rejected Islam. That ought to send a shiver up every Muslim spine. The only contemporaneous Quran scribe was hunted down by Mohammed. Islam's prophet ordered Muslims to assassinate the first man who attempted to turn the Quran into a book.
Tabari. Abdallah bin Khatal fled to Uthman, his brother, who, after hiding him, finally surrendered him to the Prophet. Uthman asked for clemency. Muhammad did not respond, remaining silent for a long time. Muhammad explained, "By Allah, I kept silence, so that one of you might go up to him and cut off his head." One of the Ansar said, "Why didn't you give me a sign?" Allah's apostle said, "A prophet does not kill by pointing."
No, he kills by deceiving, by seducing, and by coercing. And lest we forget, he kills by establishing false religions, the most virulent and vicious form of mass murder, the ultimate weapon of mass destruction. Confirming that this had nothing to do with Allah, Muhammad ordered the assassination of another Muslim.
Tabari and Ishaq. Among those whom Muhammad ordered killed was Abdallah bin Khatal. The messenger ordered him to be slain because, while he was a Muslim, Muhammad had sent him to collect the zakat taxes with an Ansar and a slave of his.
Long story short, the slave disobeyed, so the Muslim tax collector killed him. Rather than face the music by reporting his misdeed to the boss, Abdallah turned tail, rejected Islam, and used his spoils to acquire the talents of a couple of girls.
The girls used to sing satire about Muhammad, so the Prophet ordered that they should be killed along with Abdullah. Abdullah was killed by Saad and Abu Barza. The two shared in his blood. One of the singing girls was killed quickly, but the other fled. So Umar caused his horse to trample the one who fled at Atba, killing her.
Mohammed, like his protege Hitler, suffered as a result of being abused as a child. Insecure men are enraged by criticism. They will stop at nothing to silence anyone who irritates them.
Ishaq. Another victim was Huwayrith. He used to insult Muhammad in Mecca. Huwayrith was put to death by Ali.
The next victim of this godfather's hit list was
Mikyas. The messenger ordered his assassination only because he had killed an Ansar who had killed his brother by mistake, and then became a renegade by rejecting Islam.
So much for
there should be no compulsion in religion. Mikyas was slain by Numalyah.
Tabari then recounts in Volume 8, page 180.
Also among those eliminated were Ikrimah bin Abu Jahl and Sarah, a slave of one of Abd-Muttalib's sons. She taunted Muhammad while he was in Mecca.
The Prophet had notched his 9th kill, in addition to those men and women whose arms and skulls had been cut off in the raid.
Tabari. According to Waqidi, the messenger ordered that 6 men and 4 women should be assassinated. One of these women was Hind, who swore allegiance and became a Muslim.
His bloodlust satiated, it was time to salve his soul.
Tabari. Having halted by the door of the Kaaba, the messenger stood up and said, "There is no Ilah but Allah alone. He has no partner."
That's because Muhammad and Allah were one. And now that Muhammad had claimed the founder's share of the Kaaba Inc., the last thing he wanted was a partner.
Ishaq. Behold, every alleged claim of inherited privilege, blood, wealth, or property is abolished by me, except the custody of the Kaaba and the rights to supply water to the pilgrims.
It's the ultimate confession. The first chance he gets, Mohammad announces that the alleged claims to the Kaaba, to Qusay's religious scam, are null and void. Heredity, privilege, property, and wealth will avail the Meccans no longer. Then Mohammed makes himself an exception. He takes custody of the Kaaba. It's the fulfillment of Khadija's profitable prophet plan. Islam had worked.